call all Yahweh Ba'Shem Mashiach Yahweh Shai Ba'Shem Kakadash. Peace and power to the Father of lights, Yahweh, and his beloved Son, Yahweh Shai. Peace and power to the throne of King David and to the chosen sons and daughters of the Most High himself. All right. And the elect. All praises. This your King and Shepherd with another message of daily edification. Go ahead and continue to edify off of the vase. It's going to be very instrumental for you to understand the next phase of this lesson, which is called Salem. All right. This is deeper edification on Melchizedek and the king of Salem, because when you read the scriptures, all right, when you read the scriptures in the Bible, there's no information given. They just said that Melchizedek was the king of Salem. That's all it says. That's all it says. But what y'all need to understand is this book is canon. This book is actually one of the books that was written during the time of Esdras, when those scribes that drunk that fire water, the Most High put the blessing of understanding upon them, and they wrote the 200, I believe, 25 books. All right, that were tucked away for this time. The Most High said that during this time, those books are going to be revealed to his true children. So we have to be the true children, because we the only ones reading the book. Ain't nobody else reading it. You know what dummies like saying? Oh, well, if the Bible's enough, the Bible's enough. Well, the Bible's, they say, he said that there's going to be certain books that were for, everybody. That's why the crackers read it. The damn Mau read it. All right. The Christians, that's for the Christians. See, Christians are dumb as fuck. Christians believe in Jesus. They believe Jesus gonna peek his head through the clouds and, rescue everybody and pull them out of this world. Everybody that said Jesus saved me is that easy, and then you just gonna get pulled out of here and get spared from all the wickedness you done. Well, I hate to disappoint you, but that's not how it's going down. It's not. Right? Your ass gonna be right here. So y'all keep thinking that. Now these books here, he said that the last 70 books are for the wise. And this is why we're reading it. All right? So, don't try to justify yourself to none of these dummies, man. Let them find out. Right? Let them find out. So, this is why that we're getting the edification on Salem and Melchizedek. Because everything that happened during the time of Melchizedek is getting ready to come back around. Understand? So, without further ado, we will now start our new edification series on Salem. All right. Let's go to Book of Melchizedek, chapter 1. This is called Salems Story. Okay, very important, man. This gonna flip y'all out. Right now, this is a story written by Abraham. Let's see what it says. Abraham tells Salem's story as he heard it from the lips of Melchizedek. So Melchizedek told Abraham this story personally on the occasion when they went up to Salem to celebrate Sukkot's party after the great liberation. Adaniah, tired of the iniquities of the people and inspired by the virtues of his beloved son, builds a city, a kingdom different from all others. After experiencing the joy of victory and the lamentation period, Melchizedek receives a revelation from an angel in which he declares that all that drama he was living had a prefigurative sense, portraying past and future events which involve the whole vast universe. So everything that Melchizedek went through, it had reflections of the past and projections of the future, even till now. All right? Everything that Melchizedek told Abraham, he said, look, some of these things you know about, and some of these things are going to come to pass in the last days from which we are right now. Now, how could that be written way back then and then you see it going on right now? How could that happen? And how could you have people that want to discount it and say just because they have no biblical grounds to say the things that they say, but they say them anyway? Oh, that's not canon. No, that's not true. Oh, that's not. And here's the thing: the stuff is happening all around them, and they still sit back and refuse to see it. That's just a flat out dummy. All right? Don't listen to people like that. Okay? Let's go to Salem's History, Chapter 1. All right? This is a new series, y'all. Now, let me see how many chapters we got with Salem. It is, it's longer than the vase. This tops off at 14. So, got a lot of reading to do, y'all. Hope y'all ain't got nothing to do. All right? Let's start off in the epilogue, and we'll then transition into verse 1. Adaniah, which is Melchizedek's father, all right? That's never mentioned in scripture. Didn't know nothing about Adaniah, so now you do. Melchizedek, now you do. His father's name is Adaniah. A righteous man seeks to achieve his dream of justice and peace. He writes on a scroll the laws that will govern the new kingdom of peace. The building of Salem begins, which is destined only for the clean of heart. See, this is why the scripture says that nothing that defileth shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, because it's going to be the new Salem. Get it? This was already done back then, but watch what happened to Salem though. All right. Verse 1. This is the story of Salem as I heard it from Melchizedek's lips on the occasion of the Sukkot party, 15 years after the release of Lot and his daughter. So this takes place 15 years after the destruction of Sodom. Now let me get a little education here on the Sukkot, just so that y'all know what it is, so that every time I say it, you know, you won't be in mystery of what it means. All right. Now, the Sukkot this year, it takes place in the month of October 6th through Monday, October 13th. So that's 7 days, right? It's the Feast of Tabernacles, the Feast of Booths, all right? It's a Torah-commanded holiday for the Jews, beginning on the 15th of the month of Tishri. It is one of the 3 pilgrimage festivals on which Israelites were commanded to make a pilgrimage to the temple in Jerusalem. Biblically, in an autumn harvest festival in commemoration of the Exodus from Egypt, Sukkot's modern observance is characterized by festive meals in Sukkah, a temporary wood-covered hut. All right, so that's what the Sukkot is. It comes around October. All right. So just a little history on that. So this, what I'm getting ready to tell you, took place around modern day, around March. Okay, beginning of March. Okay, now verse 2. It all started with a dream in the heart of a man named Adaniah. He possessed many riches, but he appreciated nothing more than the justice and peace that were born of wisdom and love. He wanted to live in peace. Verse 3. Tired of the injustices that prevailed throughout the land of Canaan, Adaniah decided to build a kingdom that was governed by laws of love and justice. The name of the capital of that kingdom would be Salem, the city of peace. That's what it means, all right? This is where even Muslims use it. Malaikum salam, assalamu alaikum, all right? That's what it means. Jerusalem, all right? Salem means peace. Jerusalem means teaching of peace, all right? So that's where you get the word Salem from, right? Verse 4. Salem's subjects would not wield bows and arrows, but would be trained in musical art. Each inhabitant of Salem would always have at his fingertips a musical instrument to express through him the peace and joy of that new kingdom. Together they would form a powerful orchestra in the fight against disharmony born of pride and selfishness. Now, I'm teaching y'all. We're gonna go back to that. We're gonna pick up in verse 5 when we come back. But right now, I want y'all to follow me to Revelation chapter 14, verse 1. And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Zion, and with him 144,000 having his father's name written in their foreheads. And I heard a voice from heaven, as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of a great thunder. And I heard the voice of harpers harping with their harps. See, Yahushua is non-violent, man. Okay? And look what verse 3 says. And they sung, as it were, a new song before the throne and before the four beasts and the elders, and no man could learn that song but the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth. Verse 4. These are they which are not defiled with women, for they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits of the power and unto the Lamb. And in their mouth was found no guile, and they are without fault before the throne. All right, so pick it up in verse 4. It says, and they sung, as it were, a new song before the throne and before the four beasts and the elders. And no man could learn that song but the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth. Now, reading about the 144,000 in times past, you know, I myself and many others believe that that was an army, right? No, these are priests. And they're going to sing praises unto the Most High. And where did they get that from? This is what's going to happen into the new Salem. Now, let's go back to Book of Melchizedek, chapter 1, Salem, the story of Salems Story, all right? Book of Melchizedek, chapter 1, Salems Story, pick it up in verse 4. Now, reflecting on what I just told y'all about the 144,000, what did it say Salem subjects would do? Verse 4, would not wield bows and arrows. Okay? The 144,000 are not going to be weaponized, okay? But would be trained in musical art. Each inhabitant of Salem would always have at his fingertips a musical instrument to express through him the peace and joy of that new kingdom. Together they will form a powerful orchestra in the fight against disharmony born of pride and selfishness. The first step of Adaniah for the concretization of his plan was to elaborate the laws of the new kingdom, which he wrote them in a parchment. Salem's subjects could not lie, steal, hate, kill their fellow men. Pride and selfishness were indicated as the cause of all evil. Therefore, they could not exist in a place of peace. So, you had to be peaceful in order to live in Salem. That was part of the law. Verse 6. The laws of parchment required the practice of humility, sincerity, friendship, and above all, the love that is greatest of all virtues. Verse 7. After registering on the parchment the laws that would govern that kingdom, Adaniah began to plan the architecture of Salem. It would be a city at first small, with room for 1,200 people. As the place of its construction, a high region in Canaan west of Mount Olives was chosen. In a short time, the realization of Adaniah began to attract people from all over the world who, from near to far, came to know the palaces and mansions that were being built, admired by the beauty of that white city. Visitors asked about who their inhabitants would be. Adaniah showed them the scroll, saying that Salem was destined for the clean of heart, those who were willing to obey its laws, peacekeeping people. But you already know what's getting ready to happen, don't you? Have you ever tried to live peaceful? And what happens? There's always some wicked ass bastard gotta come and fuck shit up just because they think they can, right? Well, this is no different. All right, let's go to Salems Story, chapter 2. Epilogue. Conclusion of the Salem building. Melchizedek, his father's inspiration, Adaniah seeking to honor a special subject, sees in Samael a reflection of the prince's own virtues. Samael is honored. Now, Samael is a wicked ass nigga, as you're gonna see. Enter Samael to come and fuck shit up. Okay? Nigga just can't follow the rules. Look at verse 1. The building of the city was finally completed, and Salem proved beautiful as an ornate bride waiting for her husband. Ain't that what the scripture says about Yahushua, the Lamb, and his elect body as a bride awaiting her husband? Well, that's where they get it from. Okay? This is why Yahushua will forever be under the order of Melchizedek. Everything we going through now is under the order of Melchizedek. Side note, this is why we didn't get rescued on April 8th, because we are under the order of Melchizedek. The time of refreshing back then under the law of Moses was the first month. Didn't have that information. Now I do. So that's why it didn't happen, y'all. Okay? Now, verse 2. Seated on his throne. Wait a minute. Verse 2. Seated on his throne, Adaniah now examined the numerous candidates for subjects who came from everywhere. Those who, promising fidelity to the laws, were approved, received 3 gifts from the king: the right to a mansion, fine linen garments, and a musical instrument in which they should practice. So, their job was to live well, all right, dress well, and represent well with good music, all right, to bring praise to the spirit of peace. That's what they're supposed to do. All right. Verse 4. From this day, which is the 10th of the 7th month, 6 years will be counted, in which all the inhabitants will be tested. Only those who remain loyal, progressing in the practice of the laws of parchment, will be confirmed as heirs of the kingdom, of this kingdom of peace. Those who are bound by guilt and transgression will be banished by trial. So, if you were peaceful within those 6 years, then you'll be pulled all the way in. If you start starting shit and fucking shit up, you get banished, all right, by trial. Verse 5. The king's words led everyone to a thorough examination of the heart, and they rejoiced with the certainty that they would achieve victory over all pride and selfishness, which are the roots of evil. This is why I run this body the way I do, long before I even read this, because I like peace, you know. But I've had people come in this body that are not about peace, that are not about following the rules, right? So what happens to them? They get put out, just like that. They get thrown the fuck out of here, because you're here to destroy. You're here to lie, cheat, and try to bring that bullshit in here. All right? Not on my watch. Never. So now y'all see where the order comes from. These are ancient time rules by the Most High's mouth and word, are eternally established. All right? That's what we go by here. So if you're a shit starter, just a matter of time before I catch your ass and throw your bitch ass out of here. Now, let's go back to the scriptures. Verse 6. Adaniah had an only child whom he had given the name Melchizedek. Sound familiar? Adaniah had an only child. How many children did Yahweh have? 1. Yahushua, right? All right. The beauty, tenderness, and wisdom of that beloved son had been in his inspiration for the edification and foundation of his kingdom. Melchizedek was 12 years old when Salem was inaugurated. It was the plan of Adaniah to crown him king over the approved subjects. At the end of the 6 years, this plan would keep it a secret until nighttime. The prince, with his virtues and sympathy, soon became very dear to everyone in Salem. He always had a smile and a word of affection on his lips. He appreciated being with the subjects in their homes, reciting the laws of parchment, all right, in the form of beautiful songs that he lived composing. His presence brought to the environment an atmosphere of happiness and peace. That beloved prince possessed, in fact, all the virtues necessary to be a king of a victorious Salem. Adaniah had built a special mansion next to the palace with the purpose of offering it to the subject whose life most perfectly expressed the laws of the parchment. Daily he watched the inhabitants, searching among them for that person whom he wished to honor. He was walking through Salem's malls when, through the chirping of birds, Adaniah heard a voice similar to that of his son. Turning to see who he was, he found a beautiful young man singing his song. When he contemplated on his face the brightness of wisdom and purity, Adaniah was glad to have found him whom he could honor. That young man, who was a faithful copy of the prince, was called Samael. See how Samael start off? Beautiful man, beautiful voice. See? Verse 11, placing a ring on his finger, the kid led him to the palace, where he was received by Melchizedek, who offered many presents, including the right to always be by his side. Adaniah prepared a great banquet in honor of Samael, for which all were invited. When he looked at him next to the king, the subjects cheered him with joy, crediting him as being the prince himself. They exalted with joy the virtues of that beautiful young man, when Melchizedek manifested himself, placing himself with a smile to the right of his father. At the banquet, Samael was honored by all. He was really worthy of residing in the mansion of the mountain, for that was in a perfect reflection of the virtues that crowned the beloved prince. So Samael was a crowned prince, right? This how the devil worked, man. The devil, he comes in, all right? He do everything that you expect him to do to be righteous. So that shows you he knows how to do it. He does that until he gets in. See, that's how he get in. He gets you to lower your radar, lower your defenses. I'm harmless, man. Hey, I love peace. I don't like people that cause trouble. Until he get in there. And you have no idea. You have no idea. Right? That is coming. All right? Let me get a precept. We're going to come back to this. Let's go to Psalms 55. He had put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He had broken his covenant. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet they were drawn swords. See, so these are what sneaky ass people do. They got smooth words. They talk about peace and love and all this, and how they want to be a asset to the kingdom, and how they want to do this. Meanwhile, they planning on how to overthrow everything and turn everything into shit. And that's what this bastard did. All right. We're not rushing through this, y'all. Let's go on back to the book of Melchizedek, Salems Story, chapter 3, picking up in verse 2. No, Salat. 3. Aware of the importance of music in the preservation of harmony and peace in Salem, the prince, in addition to singing, began to devote himself to instrumental music, the lute being his favorite instrument. It was through that instrument that he was able to express with greater perfection the richness of his soul. Of the 6 years testing, 5 finally passed. Adaniah, happy to see that until then all the inhabitants of Salem had remained loyal to the principles contained in the parchment, summoned them to a banquet in which he would make important revelations. Having taken their places before the throne, the subjects joyfully joined the voices, singing the songs of peace, being ruled by Samael. After hearing them, the king, excited, addressed his son, hugging him in the midst of applause from the grateful crowd. Everyone recognized that peace and joy in Salem were largely due to the love and dedication of the beloved prince, who was the author of those sweet songs. At that moment of recognition, And gratitude. Adaniah revealed his plans, kept until then secret. In a leisurely voice, he told them, subjects of this kingdom of peace, my soul is full of joy to contemplate on your day. Your face is more radiant than in times past. Your clothes remain white and pure. And when you receive them from my hands, the harmony of your voices and instruments are better today. Having said these words, the king added solemnly, a year of trial still remains, at the end of which you will be examined, remaining faithful as here. You will be honored by being confirmed as subjects of this kingdom of peace. However, if someone were found at fault, they will be banished, even if this trial brings as much sadness and suffering. The king's words led the subjects to deep reflection. Everyone examining himself inquired reverently, will we be approved? So, let me tell y'all something. This is why you have it hard now. See, loyalty got to be tested. You can't claim you loyal. You can't claim that you about this life until you get tested. Everything got to be tested. See, anybody could be faithful during a good time. Who's going to be faithful when shit falls apart, when the rug gets pulled out from under you? Who's going to be faithful then? Who's on the Lord's side when you broke? Who's on the Lord's side when you at odds with your kids or your husband or your wife? Who's going to stand on the Lord's side then? The Lord's side then? Your loyal got to be tested. Who's going to stay loyal to the Lord when things fall apart in your neighborhood or some shit go down where it's testing your faith? You got to remain faithful on top of everything else that's happening. This is how the Most High knows who's with him and who not. See, if you a fair weather son or daughter, then you ain't shit. Who's going to be faithful through death? Who's going to be faithful through a death in the family? Who? See? This is what I'm trying to get y'all to understand. This walk ain't for everybody. Who's going to be faithful in those times? Well, the Most High requires it of your hand. All right? He requires it of you to be faithful when the trouble comes. All right? Well, I just finished verse 11. Gonna be picking up at verse 12. All right. Once again, I'm out of time. It's 30 minutes. Be going fast as hell. But all praises to the Father of lights for this lesson, and to his blessed Son and big brother to the kingdom, Yahweh Shai, for his sacrifice and everything he did and continues to do and will do for us. All praises. I hope y'all getting this. Okay. This is a precursor in describing Yahweh Shai in times past of how he will be, because he is under the order of Melchizedek. He is the Prince of Peace. All right. Keep that in mind. All right. Barakatah Yahweh B'Shem HaMashiach Yahweh Shai. We will pick up our reading in verse 12 of the book of Melchizedek, chapter 3. We'll be picking up at verse 12 on the next go round. All right. Y'all stay tuned and prepare for the next lesson. This your King and Shepherd KD, and I'm out. Shalom.